Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on my YouTube channel, brought to you in part by our friends at Mint Mobile. I am, of course, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies, movie news, TV, and streaming, and all sorts of good stuff. I'm joined today, of course, by one Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Ray Ora slips in here 2 minutes under the wire as usual. Right beside him, Jonathan Boyko running the show today. Beside him, Taylor Gonzalez. And of course, most importantly, you guys are here joining us today. And we are so glad that you are as we, in the final stretches to Christmas.
Wow. My
favorite time of year. We're almost there. Just a reminder to everybody that we will not be having regular John Campea shows next week, the week between Christmas and New Year's. We will still be doing a few videos and popping up some things, including our best movies of 2022, our worst movies of 2022, our most anticipated of 2023, a special weekly hero, and I'll do one or two live streams myself as well, but just it's going to be a little bit of an irregular week around here as we give the rest of the crew the week off, and we hope you have a wonderful week planned for yourselves as well. All right, guys, we got a whole ton of stuff to talk about here today, so let's not waste any time and get right to it, and we're going to start with this. You know, one of the biggest pieces of movie news that ever came out during my time covering movies, obviously I still think the biggest piece of news I ever heard was when Disney purchased Lucasfilm and said there was going to be new Star Wars films. But one of the biggest ones has to be, and I still remember exactly where I was, Rob, when they announced that Sony and Disney had made a deal for the Spider-Man character to still be controlled by Sony, but to appear in the MCU.
That was a big deal.
Me, Dennis Zen, and Amy Rose Eisenbach, we were standing in the lobby of a hotel in Atlanta, Georgia. We were down there for a conference that I was speaking at, and we checked our phone. The news broke. Spider-Man's here. And of course, he's been a very important part of the MCU ever since he made his first appearance in Civil War, which was a great first appearance for the character. Well, lately, the question has been, what's going on with the character now? I mean, now that first run is done, you know, a lot of questions, a lot of people saying he's coming back for sure, but we've not heard a lot of solid confirmation. Some people said like 5 months ago, they're in advanced pre-production of the new Spider-Man movie. That, of course, turned out not to be true. But now we do have some official word. So, because Sony's chief executive is saying that, oh yeah, new live-action Spider-Man movie, make no doubt, is coming. This comes to us from the folks over at CBR who wrote the following. Speaking to the Hollywood Reporter, Sony Pictures Entertainment chairperson Tom Rothman confirmed that the studio will release another film dedicated to the friendly neighborhood webhead. When asked whether the studio has plans for another Spider-Man film, the executive responded, "You bet." Despite this confirmation, though, Rothman didn't reveal any further details regarding the project, admitting that not even he knows when it'll premiere. When can we expect it? I don't know. Serve no wine before it's time, Rothman said. In late 2022, several so-called insiders insisted that Spider-Man 4 was entering advanced pre-productions, but those, of course, never panned out. So, okay, there are two things to ask the question about here. Okay, one, there's going to be more live-action Spider-Man. But, and I don't want to throw a panic at anybody, notice what Rothman didn't say. He didn't say where that Spider-Man would be. He didn't say it was going to be in the MCU, but he didn't say it wasn't going to be. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not pointing out that he didn't say it would be in the MCU to make a point that it wasn't. He also didn't say it wasn't going to be in the MCU. He didn't say it would be a part of the new expanding Spider-Verse over at Sony. He didn't say it wasn't. Rob, at this point, I think the very fact that he's being willing to confirm, that to me suggests a maintaining of the status quo, of the current status quo, which is, of course, Spider-Man being connected to the MCU. Now, we know that isn't going to be forever. I mean, I think we all understand that it isn't going to be forever. But right now, you and I both agree that this arrangement is something that's making both Sony and Disney a lot of money. It's making the fans happy. Morbius. But aside from Morbius, Sony's had some success on their end too with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Across the Spider-Verse is one of the most anticipated films of 2023. The Venom movies, they've had a big success with the Venom movies. So everything seems to be working for everybody. When you hear Tom Rothman just confirming, yep, you bet, there is new Spider-Man coming. We don't know when yet, which maybe suggests some things might still be up in the air a little bit. But what are your thoughts and your theories right now about what's going on with Spider-Man and where he's going to end up?
Well, I think that for sure that they're going to make, I think when Tom Rothman thinks about Spider-Man, being that he's at Sony, in his mind, he's not thinking MCU, Sony-verse. He's just thinking Spider-Man.
Yeah.
The last Spider-Man movie that they released, and by the way, let's once again make clear, all 3 of the Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland have been released by Sony. They have not been released by Disney or
Correct.
Marvel.
Yep, that's something a lot of people forget.
So he's just thinking to himself, of course we're going to make another Spider-Man movie. Why wouldn't we? The last one we made was really successful. One of the most successful movies ever made. So it was 75% theirs, like 25% Marvel's. I think they're just going to keep in that same vein. Why not? Because look, Sony benefits from their relationship with Marvel, just like Marvel benefits from having Spider-Man in the MCU. I think it's a mutually beneficial relationship that they want to continue. There's no reason why they wouldn't want to continue it. But that said, in this day and age, you never know. But I would say, John, it's probably status quo. They're going to make another Spider-Man 4, whatever that's going to be. It's going to be in the MCU. We're probably going to see crossover characters, and it wouldn't surprise me if Spider-Man's going to be in Kang Dynasty or Secret Wars as well.
Jonathan, let's bring that picture back up again that you just had up. Because I remember when Spider-Man No Way Home came out, a lot of people, once it became clear that Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire were going to be in there, and especially once people saw the movie, the popular theory that started going around was that, well, here it is. So, because there was still a lot of question going into No Way Home about what's going to happen with Tom Holland Spider-Man after this done. So the popular theory kind of became one of 2 things. Sony is taking back the Holland Spider-Man, but they're going to allow either Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire. By the way, how great is that image? That image is fantastic. How good does Tobey Maguire look in that picture? Like, he looks like he could still easily play Spider-Man. But anyway, a lot of people are thinking, okay, Tom Holland's going to go back to Spider-Man, but now they've got access to Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire to be Spider-Man. Or the slightly more popular theory was the other way around, that Tom Holland will now continue to be the Spider-Man here, and Sony will start making Spider-Man movies with continuing either Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, which I would love. He is my favorite Spider-Man. Or I love all 3 of them, though. Or Tobey Maguire. Now, I've always contended that that was not going to be the case. I thought this movie was just serving as a beautiful swan song for Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. But do you think that is something that could still be possible for them? That maybe Sony says, look, let's divvy this up. We still control the Tom Holland Spider-Man, but you can use him in the MCU continually. But we want to start making some other Spider-Man content with older Spider-Man. Do you think that is still something that can happen?
I mean, it could. As a matter of fact, I would, if I was Tom Rothman, I would see if Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire, either one of them was interested, because even the backstory that they gave both of those Spider-Men in No Way Home was really interesting. Delving into where Andrew Garfield was in a dark place, he said.
I love the one line that says, I stopped pulling my punches.
Yeah, I mean, that could be a really interesting kind of a movie. So I could see that could be, I mean, look, everyone's always having to second guess the marketplace. These movies are hugely expensive. You're talking a $200 million plus investment. So they have to stick with what works. I mean, I would say make a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie for $80 million and concentrate less on the effects and more on, or Andrew Garfield, what does it mean to not pull your punches? And make it much more of a gritty, real world examination of his redemption or something as a result of what happened in No Way Home or something like that. But that's not how Hollywood thinks. And I think that what they're going to do is they're going to continue on, although I wouldn't want to follow up No Way Home.
I don't for either Marvel or Sony. That's now a tough act to follow.
Yeah, it really is. Like
that movie.
How do you make you could make the best Spider-Man movie in the world, but if it's a single Spider-Man film and it makes $1 billion, people are gonna be like, "Oh, only $1 billion?"
Yeah, I know, right?
We live in such a weird world.
And it's not. Here's the funny thing. I obviously really like No Way Home, but it is not the best Spider-Man movie.
No,
I don't even think it's in the top 3 best Spider-Man movies, to be honest with you. But it is. But still, it's great, guys. Question is for you. Sony is saying, you bet there's going to be another and a brand new. We got some danger going on back there at the control center. I think there's a bug flying around Jonathan's head. What Sony's saying, you bet that we are definitely doing more Spider-Man movies, But how is that going to manifest? Will it still be in the MCU? Most likely. Maybe Sony takes crap. Maybe they divvy up the Spider-Man. I don't know. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's get into another off the top here, shall we? And we're going to stay in the realm of the MCU, if you will.
Yep.
With this, one of the more popular, got to be considered top 5, what most popular, beloved, celebrated comic book TV shows was the Netflix iteration of Daredevil. Mm-hmm. That thing just came out, and those who became fans of it and watched it became passionate fans about it. And why not?
It was great.
Charlie Cox was incredible. Vincent D'Onofrio, he was born to play Kingpin. His iteration of Kingpin, to me, it actually, you take this for what it will, but I don't care what anybody says. I don't care, all right? Ben Affleck's Daredevil, Michael Clark Duncan as Kingpin. I loved that iteration of Kingpin.
I did too.
Michael Clark Duncan. Oh God, I miss Michael Clark Duncan. Anyway, but Vincent D'Onofrio comes out, it's like, okay, this dude was the one born to play Kingpin. Like, you hurt Vanessa. I just loved him so much. He was fantastic. And of course, everybody got excited when they announced that they were going to be bringing Daredevil back, Charlie Cox's Daredevil. But the question still remains, and I know this is brought up a lot, but Charlie Cox just threw some fuel on this fire. It's one of the two. Is it the same Daredevil from the Netflix series? Or is this Daredevil the same as the Daredevil from the Netflix series? That's been the question. Charlie Cox has made a lot of comments that made it sound like this is a different Daredevil. Well, anyway, however you see that, Charlie Cox just made some new comments that suggest some changes coming to this Disney Plus iteration of Daredevil. If you're expecting this to be hard R-rated violence, Charlie Cox is saying don't count on it. This comes to us from the folks over at Deadline who wrote the following. He said this: Cox told the publication that he is looking forward to playing a new version of Matt Murdock's character. Then he goes on to say, this has to be a reincarnation. It has to be different. Otherwise, why are we doing it? He said. The popular Netflix series was quite dark in tone with graphic violence. My opinion, says Charlie Cox, is this character works best when he's geared towards a slightly more mature audience. My instinct is that on Disney Plus, it will be dark, but it probably won't be as gory, Cox said. For fans who are hoping for more of a continuation of the previous series, Cox says, I would say to those people, we've done that. Let's take the things that really worked, but can we broaden it? Can we appeal to a slightly younger audience without losing what we've learned about that works? And that, of course, is Charlie Cox coming. Rob, I feel like 5 or 6 times over the last year, we've quoted Charlie Cox saying things that I've attested says, this is telling me that this Daredevil is the same as the Daredevil from Netflix, but is not the same Daredevil from Netflix. And She-Hulk didn't help clear it up very much because he was a little bit different, but at its core, like the humor and the joking, if you actually watch the Netflix series, Daredevil, Matt did do that in the original series as well. But I know, Rob, you're hearing what he's talking about here. He's saying, okay, this isn't going to be as gory. To the people who want just a continuation of the last Netflix thing, why? We've done that before. This is a new version. Listen, Cox keeps talking. How are you interpreting this now? What do you think he's pointing us towards?
Look, I think that this is all it comes down to semantics because it's the same actor playing the same character. What we're wondering about is it the same universe? Is it?
What's the name of his girlfriend in the show?
Karen Page.
Karen Page, right? Like, because Karen Page said she's not been contacted about being in this series.
Right.
So if it's a different Karen Page, well, then clearly it's not the same universe as the Netflix.
Look, ever since we saw Ralph Boner, Quicksilver show up in WandaVision, I have been perplexed by this what they're doing here, because clearly you can't put this character in the show and then play these games about, well, is it the same Daredevil? Just come out and say, yeah, it's Daredevil. Just say that. Just say it's Daredevil. We leave it up to you.
By the way, as much as I was disappointed by She-Hulk, I love that scene. I love everything about those two together.
Yeah, I mean,
really
there was
even though I didn't like
the actors. I thought were great. I mean, for me, the She-Hulk series failed because of its writing, and trying to change the premise of the show every week. But I just think to me, in my mind, Charlie Cox is Daredevil, and Daredevil has a past history, and we've seen his past history, how that relates. I mean, it's such a weird thing to do that to your audience. Just say it's the same character. It's the same actor playing the same character. He has a history. You've seen his history. That's all you have to say.
But they're not saying it.
I know that. And so, but the thing is, they're saying something by recasting him or bringing him back as the character. So, I mean, it's such a weird, it's bizarre to me that they're playing these kinds of games with their viewership, because Kingpin was in Hawkeye and it's Vincent D'Onofrio, but he's not the same character. It's just a weird.
But I mean, isn't it a damned if you do, damned if you don't scenario? Like I compare it a little bit to the Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness situation with John Krasinski playing Reed Richards, right? The fans wanted John Krasinski, and maybe John Krasinski couldn't commit to doing it, or maybe he couldn't be a part of their plans, but thought, you know what? The fans have wanted to see John Krasinski as Reed Richards. Let's at least do this. Let's at least do this and put him in. And what happens is you get a lot of fans. I mean, not so much now. People seem to have calmed down, which is good. But I remember at the time, people were then going, well, if he's not Reed Richards going forward, then I'm going to ditch onto the MCU. Like, what? Like, it's like, come on. They tried to give the audience and the fans what they wanted. They tried to give a treat to the audience. And instead of saying, awesome, thank you, they went, well, now if you don't give it this. And I just wonder if a part of this is, look, we have different plans for Daredevil, but the audience loved Charlie Cox as Daredevil. So maybe we're not continuing on the Netflix series, but let's at least give them back the guy they really enjoyed in the role. And by the way, Kevin Feige didn't tell me that. I'm just speculating.
Right. Look, I think you're absolutely right, but the problem is they're doing two different things. On one hand, they're saying, okay, we've got Hugh Jackman coming back playing Wolverine in a Deadpool movie. Then you have Quicksilver in WandaVision, but not Quicksilver, Ralph Boner. Then you have Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield coming back from a different iteration of those movies. Now you've got Charlie Cox coming back as Daredevil. But the thing is, the MCU has 30 movies and however many series, 6 or 7 series of continuity of this ever-expanding story. And with these characters, they're playing fast and loose with their continuity, whereas they're not doing that with their main narrative.
That's why I hate multiverse.
Well, yeah, and I think that's really, in a way, that's problematic, because I don't care what anyone says. The Quicksilver that we saw in WandaVision, according to my action figure collection, it was absolutely the Quicksilver from the way I have.
I want a
This
t-shirt.
is an adult, right?
I want
Yes.
a t-shirt of Rob's face. That is the serious Rob's face, and the quote, according to my action figure collection,
Right. ...
I want that shirt.
You can't play, because you know what? I got 2 different iterations of Quicksilver, and it's like standing between Wanda, and both of those people are her brothers. How that works, you can explain it to me later. But no, I just think that they should give us some clarification, because the question remains: if that Charlie Cox iteration of Daredevil stays in the MCU, did Elektra happen to him? Or are we going to get a new Elektra?
I still think, and I could be wrong. I'm not putting money on this. I'm not saying I know this is a fact. This is me as a speculator. I've been saying for a while, though, Rob, I don't think it's the same one.
I know.
I think we're going to get a new Elektra. I think we're going to get a new Karen. I think we're going to get a new Foggy. And maybe they do bring 1 or 2 of the characters over, but I think overall we're going to see it's a different thing. I think that's what Charlie Cox is trying to just ease us into, to finding out. Or they're going to come out on stage at some upcoming convention, and the original Karen's coming out, the original Elektra's coming out, and the whole gang's back, and they say, we are back. Who knows? We'll find out. Guys, question is for you. With these recent comments from Charlie Cox about this is a reinvention, why would we just do what we did before? I don't know. What are your thoughts now? Is this a Daredevil who is the same as the Daredevil from Netflix, or is it the same Daredevil? Like, what are you guys thinking right now? Whatever your guys' thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, let's get into our Mint Mobile hotline question of the day today, shall we? If you guys have a question for the show that you'd like us to address and you'd like to hear your own voice on our show, go ahead and call our hotline anytime 24/7 at 951-268-4259. We'll pick one or two out every day and address them. So what do we got in there today, Jonathan?
Hey, John and crew, it's Zelda Match 702. I saw a story the other day that suggested that one of the things that Bob Iger might do as the returning CEO of Disney is explore spinning off ESPN and ABC, and possibly even selling Hulu. I just wanted to discuss what the probability of that thing even happening would be, and what some pros and cons of making such moves would be for the Disney company. All right, I'll let you guys go. Thank you so much.
All right, Zelda, thanks a lot for calling in. You know, there have been one of our business partners, Scott, for over a week now, has been he texted me all these really interesting articles about the business side of entertainment, right? And he was been sending me for almost a week, like articles and pieces coming out about, it looks like Disney is looking to spin off ESPN. For those of you who don't know, and I'm sure not everybody does, Disney owns ESPN. A lot of people do know they own ABC and a bunch of other things as well. But there has been a lot of talk and rumblings and discussion lately about the idea that Disney itself may be looking to spin off and divest itself of ESPN. Now, this has been, the articles that have been written cite a couple of important reasons. Number one, the linear TV market is not the same what it used to be. ESPN, not that long ago, was a major cash cow, but its linear reach has dropped by like 30% over the last couple of years. Number two, Disney is really a global brand. Everything it seems to put itself into is for a global audience. ESPN is very American and very, just it's kind of isolated and doesn't have that kind of a global market. Number three reason they pointed at it was because it's not really on brand with Disney, right? Hulu definitely can be on brand. ABC can definitely be on brand. ESPN is a different kind of thing. Reason number four, we're seeing more and more non-traditional sports outlets getting more and more into live sports. We've heard that Netflix is active, despite what their CEO has been saying lately. We've heard a lot of reports that Netflix is actively looking into getting live sports integrated there. We just found out yesterday that Google has bought the rights to the NFL Sunday Ticket,
which is monstrously huge.
Yeah, look, for those of you who are not sports fans, okay, and I know a bunch of you are not sports fans, you cannot underestimate how huge of a deal this is. That one thing has been, I think, the only thing keeping DirecTV alive. Because if you wanted to have Sunday Ticket, like I've always wanted to have Sunday Ticket, you had to be a DirecTV customer. Well, I'm not a DirecTV customer, right? Well, now Google is going to have it. And they're going to make it a part of an additional subscription thing you can have for YouTube and YouTube TV. That's huge. But there's Amazon now does Thursday Night Football. So you now have this landscape where ESPN owned everything, owned the landscape. That landscape, their market share has dropped. And now that landscape, there are pioneers coming in and chipping away at their land and taking it away. And their kingdom, ESPN's kingdom, is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. And that has led a lot of speculation that they're just going to divest themselves of that. Now, this comes to us from the Hollywood Reporter, who says this. We think, this is a Disney analyst, who says, we think that Bob Iger is returning to Disney to make big changes. Spinning off ESPN and ABC is the best path forward, and we see it as reasonably probable that late in 2023 event. Wells Fargo analyst Stephen Cahill opened a Tuesday report on the Walt Disney Company, led again by Bob Iger, CEO, with a big call that is certain to cause debate. The analyst, who has an overweight rating with a $125 price tag on Disney stock, making it a signature pick for his firm. And they're talking about the fact that they think it's time for them. And we've heard all the reports that they are looking at doing this. And it looks like they're spinning it off. Right, Rob, I think a lot of fans don't even realize that Disney owns ESPN. So right. I think for a lot of the average fans, this won't be considered a big move. But for Disney, it could do a couple of things. It could allow them to become more focused on their core business. It spins off something that is a declining market. And it allows them more flexibility with their current market capital to reinvest more into the entertainment side of things. It is looking, when Scott was sending me all these articles, I was kind of ignoring them, but I don't think I can ignore them anymore. It looks like this is happening. Do you think this is a good move for Disney, or can you see some cons to spinning off ESPN?
Look, I think ESPN has been a drag on Disney for a long time. I mean, there's a lot of money involved, and from what I understand, it's been a money pit on many different levels. And I think that, honestly, and again, I don't know enough about it, but from what I do understand, they jettisoned ESPN. I don't think it would be bad. I really don't. And ABC as well. Look, why are they're not, why should they be involved in traditional network television? What's the upside? They've got their own streaming service now. You'd think that they would want, and even Hulu, John, is only it's pretty much domestic. It doesn't have a European presence. They have it rebranded like Disney Star around the world.
Yeah, then they put all the Hulu content on
other things like that. So what's the point? I mean, I think you're going to see a lot of these things. I mean, Disney Plus is, by the way, Iger's brainchild. Now he's back and getting rid of these things. Assuming there's a buyer, somebody's going to want to take these things off their hands. I could see it could only be good. Disney has to make big moves. I mean, they lost $4 billion. They lost what they paid for Lucasfilm in 1 year on streaming. They've got to make some moves. They got to figure out ways to get their core business, like you pointed out. What is their core business? I mean, do they need to diversify and become? I think that what Disney needs to do is stay focused. That's what Disney does. And ESPN, like you said, people don't even know Disney owned it. Why does Disney own it? What are they getting out of it? I mean, I think they should sell it.
The only reason I could see them holding on to it, and it's not a good enough reason, but is this. They have been very smart in how they've leveraged the ESPN audience, which is not your traditional Disney audience. Because what have they done in recent years? Where have their biggest trailer drops? They haven't been at Comic-Con.
Right.
Their biggest trailer drops generally seem to be on ESPN with football, because they're able to get their product in front of the audience that isn't going on YouTube and looking for their trailers. That has been a very valuable thing for them, but that isn't nearly a good enough reason to hold on to it, though.
No.
And I say this as an ESPN fan. Other than YouTube, ESPN is the network that's on my TV more than any other. But I agree with you, Rob. I just don't think the case is there to hold on to it.
What are the licensing? Do they have to? What kind of licensing fees does ESPN and Disney have to pay to broadcast all this different sports?
Oh, a lot.
I mean, insane amounts of money.
Lots of money.
So
we'll see. All right, guys. Question is for you, and I would love to see UFC get out from under ESPN at this point. They're just. Did you hear they're raising the? Did you hear this, Ray? They're raising the charges for the prices for pay-per-view again.
Oh.
A little while ago, I was not long ago. I was paying
already.
$50 for a UFC pay-per-view, and then it was 55, and then it was 60, and then it was 65, and it was 70. Right now, it's 75, and I just read this morning, starting effective immediately, it's $80 for a pay-per-view. I mean, and so I'm like, I'm going to go to a bar, order a $10 plate of wings, and just watch UFCs there.
how do they expect people to pay for that? Like raising the prices, this percentage level. I mean, they're pricing themselves out of the marketplace.
All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think is going to happen here? Maybe you're one of the many people who didn't even realize that Disney owned ESPN. What do you think about the idea of them spinning it off? Can you see some pros? Can you see some cons? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, I want to take a break here just for a second. You guys know that every year, for the last about 10 years or so, Ann and I, we've been involved with the Adopt a Family program. And last year, you guys wrote to us, 2 years ago, you guys started writing to us, say, hey guys, instead of just telling us to get involved in Adopt a Family, can we get involved with your Adopt a Family? So last year, we invited you guys to get involved with our Adopt a Family, and you guys just came through in amazing ways. Well, of course, we had to do it again this year. And this year, we had a wonderful family that, due to, like a lot of families got hit by the pandemic and stuff like that, and they got themselves into a hole. They lost their jobs. They're a family of 9 living in a one-room hotel right now that costs a lot of money And it's hard and even though they've both now found jobs, the parents have both found jobs, it is very difficult because you still got to pay for where you are living and trying to get out of that hole. And we told you guys the story of the family, and we said, this is what we're doing. So we put together an Amazon wish list of over 100 different items, including grocery store gift cards, Amazon gift cards, school supplies, hygiene products, clothing, roller skates, a whole bunch of stuff. We opened up a GoFundMe and you guys came through. Well, anyway, last night was my second favorite day of the year. My favorite day of the year is Christmas. My second favorite day of the year is the Adopt a Family Gift Delivery Day. And yesterday was that day. And I wanted to show you guys the results of your generosity and what you guys did and the impact that you made on this family. So I want to share that video here with you now. Hey guys, well, just an update on our Adopt a Family this year. We just got back, and again, just what an incredible night, an incredible experience, all made possible by you guys. We told you the story of this family. We put up like 100 different things on the Amazon wish list. You guys got them all, including tablets for the kids, Nintendo Switches, clothing, toiletries, like everything that they needed. And then we opened up a GoFundMe to raise money for them as well. And you guys raised almost $5,000. And I told you guys I would match that. So we rounded it off to $10,000, and we just got back from meeting with the family and delivering the presents, and we will let you guys see for yourselves the type of impact that you made on this family.
Keep on laughing at the rain, I guess. Isn't that the place to start? Someday you will be stronger than you are now, but you will not know everything. When the water's spilling over the bow, you'll still have me in the wings. You gotta get up to get down, kid. You gotta get down to get up again. You gotta get up to get down, kid. You gotta get down to get up again.
One. Yeah, that was the last one. You got everything out of the car, right?
Treat your mother like she's made.
And so we have a check for $10,000 to help with anything else that you guys need, or anything else you forgot or whatever, and hopefully this will be helpful. So, Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Everything. When the water's spilling over the bow, you'll still have me in the wings. You gotta get up to get down, kid. You gotta get down to get up again. You gotta get up to get down, kid. You gotta get down to get up.
So thank you again to everybody who participated in this year. I put the damn video together. Thank you to everybody who participated again this year and has participated every year. And you can see the results and the effects of your generosity and what you guys did. And we look forward to doing this again next year. And again, listen, you guys don't have to participate in ours. What we really would love to see everybody do is contact your local municipality around Christmas, in the months leading up to Christmas, and ask about your local Adopt a Family program. Get together with one or two friends. It doesn't have to be as elaborate as what we just did. Believe me, the first time Ann and I did it, we delivered like $200 worth of gifts for the kids. And when the first child just opened a present, the mom just wept, and it changed us forever. It'll change you forever. Get involved in this program. It's awesome. It's easy to do. And do help us out next year as well. Maybe next year we'll get to do 2 families. All right. With that down and out of the way, let's get back to some GUR stuff and talk about Deathstroke. There's no crying when you're talking about Deathstroke. So we got a couple of main topics here. And our first one today is this. Now, I don't know if you heard this, but James Gunn's been in the news lately.
No.
Yeah, it's true.
What's that?
Ray's never heard of James Gunn. It's never happened. So James Gunn's been in the news lately. And he's, again, when you have a guy who's the head of a studio, who is active on social media, there's going to be a lot of things to talk about. And, he's made some really interesting comments online lately about how Ben Affleck is going to be directing a DC movie at some point, about his conversations with both Henry Cavill and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and all that kind of stuff. Well, somebody online decided to ask James Gunn about the possibility of maybe seeing Deathstroke. And James Gunn decided to respond to this person about Deathstroke. In his tweet, a user named Jared wrote to James Gunn and simply asked him any plans for Deathstroke in the DCEU. And James Gunn, who has usually been just very direct with audiences and very direct with fans when answering questions, he just wrote, could be, ... Could be, ... Now, of course, we got to point out here that Gunn did not explicitly come out and said, yes, we are doing Deathstroke. He didn't say that. But he's not been one to kind of tease the audience much. And when normally, and this might be different, but normally when he kind of alludes or teases something, we usually find out not long after that thing is actually something that's happening. So maybe that's the situation here. All right, so the question becomes, let's assume for a moment that his could be was his way of giving us a wink that a Deathstroke is coming. Well, the DCU did have a Deathstroke ready to go in Joe Manganiello. Now, I say ready to go and not actually in it because he had a scene. I mean, they never really did use him. It was kind of a throwaway scene, but damn, he did look good as Slade, didn't he? Didn't he completely look the part?
Yep.
I submit to you that he did. And apparently that was him in the suit in the little Ben Affleck test footage thing for Ben Affleck's Batman movie. All right, Rob, no basis theorizing time. Every once in a while we theorize based on good information, but let's theorize on just complete baseless fan speculation. All right. What do you think are the chances that, and just to be clear, James Gunn said nothing to this effect, but we're going to play around. What do you think the chances are that you have said that you thought that maybe when Ben Affleck does come in to direct a DC movie, as Ben and James Gunn have said is going to happen, that it is maybe his Batman Deathstroke script that never got made, and that maybe we could see Joe Manganiello playing Deathstroke since he never really did get his turn at the sword? Or could he be talking about using Deathstroke in a kind of animated traditional way of maybe having him as a villain in a Teen Titans thing? Or I don't know. But you see what James Gunn said. What's your takeaway from it?
Well, John, as Hans Gruber once told his associate Theo, he said, it's Christmas. It's the time for miracles. So I would say this. I mean, look, we have heard, people have talked about how great that script was. The Batman versus Slade Wilson Deathstroke script. Knowing how studios work and knowing that that script was already paid for and it was already written, it's already there. If it is a great script, they'll figure out a way to use it. And if Ben Affleck came and said, look, I'm not playing Batman anymore, but I did direct a film for this studio that won Best Picture, and I directed 3 other films I'm very proud of. He's directed 4 films for Warner Brothers. They have a script they developed. Why start from scratch when you have a script that's already great? I mean, hell, John, speaking of Die Hard 2 was a script called 58 Minutes. That wasn't a Die Hard script, and they turned it into one. And they made that. Die Hard 3, Die Hard with a Vengeance, was a script called Simon Says. Wasn't a Die Hard script. They turned it into a Die Hard script. They have a Batman script at Warner Brothers. A Batman and Deathstroke script. I think, if I was a betting man, I would say yes. That script would be the script that Ben Affleck will direct. The script he already developed, because he already knows how to direct it. Whether Joe Manganiello will come back and play that character, I would say that's iffy. Whoever plays Slade Wilson will be defined by who's playing Batman. You can't cast Slade Wilson first. You have to cast your Batman, and the Batman that's going to move forward in the DCU for 10 years. Once that person is announced, then they can cast Deathstroke. Maybe it could be him. I would suspect a character like Deathstroke should be a little bit older, but you never know.
I'm going to say something completely unexpected, because I am generally lean of the persuasion that if you are doing a character that is a new iteration of a character, you don't go back to former actors. And I know we were just talking about Charlie Cox playing Daredevil and everything, but I normally, that's the way I lean.
Sure.
I'm going to throw out a name here, though. Manu Bennett. For those of you who don't know the name of Manu Bennett, I first became familiar with Manu Bennett because he played Crixus in one of my top 3 favorite shows of all time, Spartacus. He was amazing in that show. And then a little bit later, he got the role. There he is. He got the role on CW's Arrow as Deathstroke. And I'll tell you what, think what you will about how they wrote that Deathstroke character and everything. I've never personally met anybody that didn't think he was fabulous playing the role. He's got the look for it. He's a really good actor. Manu Bennett is a really, really good actor. By the way, he was the motion capture artist and the voice of the White Orc in the Hobbit movies,
right,
as well. And he was also the lead in the Shannara Chronicles. But he's fabulous. I love Manu Bennett. And you take him, again, I'm not saying get the CW Deathstroke. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying forget that. I actually really love this guy in this role. He's a little bit older now. Like, he's not old, but he's a little bit older. He's in wicked physical condition. He can do all the action and moves, everything himself. He's totally trained. He's got a great look. His voice, though, his voice is so damn good. I would love to see, if not Joe, because he's already in the DCU.
Who is this one in?
Which one is that? That's Teen Titans, right?
Is that Eastside Morales?
Yeah. What show was that?
Titans?
Is it Titans? I think it might be.
I keep finding, but it's not saying what show, so that's why I asked. I stopped watching Titans after season 1, but I know they brought in Deathstroke into.
I've been watching this season because of Brother Blood.
I see. So, do you have anybody off the top of your head?
No. You know what? Here's the thing that to me, I have a very specific. I see him more as he's more of a, I don't know, a rich, sort of knowledgeable. These guys are more soldier-esque, and while Deathstroke is a soldier, I see him as a very learned man, almost like a PhD meets special forces kind of a guy. I don't know.
I think that could be Manu Bennett.
Could be.
I think it could be.
He was good. The question is, though, would they do that? They've got to. It's got to be somebody that, again, it's going to be defined by who plays Batman.
Yeah, I agree. That's going to be the big thing up next. All right, guys, question is for you. James Gunn has teased that we're going to see Deathstroke in this new iteration of DCU. If so, and again, this is speculation built on speculation, but if he is, could it be the Deathstroke that we were going to get in that Ben Affleck Batman script? I don't know. It's all speculation bounds, but that's what we as fans love to do. What do you guys think about that? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave those thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, we're going to take just a break here for a moment to thank a couple of the great sponsors of our show. You know, Deathstroke could always move so quick and so nimbly because his balls were clean shaven, nice and smooth, and he wore MeUndies for no friction whatsoever. So let's take a second to thank two of the sponsors of our show, MeUndies and Manscaped. The holidays are officially upon us, and it's time to start celebrating. Do your thing and holiday your way with MeUndies. Because it's the most wonderful time of the year to try MeUndies, because they're currently offering a very merry deal. Get 20% off your first purchase with free standard shipping and free returns when you go to MeUndies.com/Campea. Guys, you know I've been wearing MeUndies for a while now because I used to be like everybody else. I would go to the big store, buy the biggest box of the most generic underwear, and I thought that was good enough. But ever since I started MeUndies and started wearing the most comfortable underwear I have ever worn in my life, I swear on this Christmas season, I will never go back. So get your holiday shopping finished early and start making time for yourself with the new MeUndies holiday collection. Their undies, long underwear, and sleepwear are made out of the softest, most supple fabric you've ever felt and are guaranteed to bring you comfort and joy to all of your loved ones. Shop their classic plaid prints for a traditional, picture-perfect style, or get festive with their adventurous limited edition sweater prints. Available in sizes extra small small all the way through 4XL, MeUndies has what you need to make all of your favorite people smile this holiday season, all in one convenient place. So to get 20% off your first order, free shipping, and 100% satisfaction guarantee, go to MeUndies.com/Campea. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Manscaped. This holiday season, I'll be giving thanks to our friends over at Manscaped. Everyone loves turkey and stuffing, but you'll be looking like dessert with the help of Manscaped's Performance Package 4.0. The leaders in below-the-waist grooming have blessed you with the ultimate Thanksgiving dinner topic. Tell your in-laws about your new cutting-edge ball trimmer and gift yourself or the man in your life the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Trim up your pumpkins by going to manscaped.com and use the code Campea for free shipping and 20% off. And this year I am so thankful for Manscaped because, like most of you guys, I used to use Neanderthalic Dark Age methods to trim my balls. Not anymore, thanks to Manscaped. It's time for all of us to give thanks to Manscaped Performance Package 4.0, or as I like to call it, the perfect package for your package. Inside, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold all your goodies. The heart of the package, their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. So get 20% off and free shipping with the code Campea at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use the promo code Campea. Be thankful this holiday season for the best gift of all from Manscaped. Your balls will thank you.
And thank you to our friends at MeUndies and Manscaped for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. Remember, guys, when you support our sponsors, because all joking aside, they are both great. When you support our sponsors, you're actually supporting us. So go down to the description of the video. You'll see near the top links and promo codes to all of our sponsors of today's show. And thank you again to Manscaped and MeUndies. All right, guys. With that down, let's get into another main topic here today, shall we? And that one is this. Well, Rob, we are getting into award season. We've seen a lot of the smaller independent bodies announcing the awards. The Golden Globes, the useless titfucks that they are, have announced their nominees as well. Who cares? But, you know, the Critics' Choice Awards have been named. The AFI has started putting their list together. The National Board of Review put out their list of movies. Well, we're getting close now to the Oscars. The Oscars are coming. And as a result of the Oscars coming, it is now time for us to start getting the short lists that normally come out.
Yes.
Because remember, there are several rounds of votings with the different branches of the Academy as they start to put together their own lists about who is going to be nominated for the various awards. Well, one of the awards that we got a short list for is for Best Musical Original Score. Best Music Original Score for a movie. Now remember, ultimately there's going to be 5 nominees. And they put out a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 short lists about who could potentially get the best soundtrack nomination. There are some really good ones on there. Glass Onion is one of the short list members. She Said, the music in She Said is actually really, really good. Woman King, Babylon, Avatar: The Way of Water, All Quiet on the Western Front. But noticeable by its absence from the short list, not even in the top 15, is that of The Batman. The Batman did not get a spot on the short list for nominations. Now, some of you may think, well, it can still get the nomination, right? Nope. That's it. It didn't even get to the round of 15. And listen, I am admittedly somebody who quite often doesn't notice the score. Like, I really appreciate a good score, but sometimes I don't pay attention to the score, which is the job of the score. That's perfect. But I remember one of the things I came out of the Batman just raving about was the score of this movie. How it just punches up every scene.
I love the score.
The score is absolutely incredible. And I got to tell you, I am shocked that it didn't even get to the short list. Now, I hesitate mostly. You very rarely hear me use the term snubbed, right? Because snubbed suggests that it's so obvious this thing should have got the nomination. You purposefully just rejected it. Like,
But I've always said you can only really use the word snub if you can make a valid argument that not only could it have been nominated, that maybe it should have won. If you can't make an argument that something maybe should have won, then I don't think you can call it not getting a nomination a snub. But I'll tell you what, the fact that it didn't even get into the top 15, that's surprising. Like, I don't know that I would have been shocked if it didn't get one of the final 5 nomination spots. I would have been a little disappointed because I do think it deserves a nomination. But it didn't even get into the top 15. And like I said, I got nothing against any. By the way, the soundtrack in Don't Worry, Darling, not a good movie, but the score of it is fantastic. But I look at this list, great scores in all of them. But Rob, I'm shocked that we don't see it in the top 15. What's your response to not seeing the Batman get that spot?
Again, that doesn't mean it's not going to get a nomination, by the way.
It does.
It does?
Yeah, this is the branch's finalized.
It is? Okay, well
branches,
then,
yeah.
well, that's distressing. I was hoping it still might have a chance to scooch in. I don't know, John. I mean, you know what I loved about the score? Like the Catwoman theme, the different themes. They released this score individually before the movie came out, and I was listening to the music. Really great stuff. I mean, maybe they just think, I don't know, is there a prejudice against comic book movies because we've heard so many different Batman themes, whether it's James Newton Howard and Hans Zimmer's score for Batman. I don't know. I think this is a great piece of music. The whole score is great. I've listened to it a lot. It bums me out. But maybe, I mean, look, all I can say is that Michael Giacchino, look, I'm still pissed his Speed Racer score didn't get nominated. Don't laugh. It's a great score. Come on now. I'm not kidding. Why are you laughing? Speed Racer, come on. BD50, come on, Warner Brothers, for your 100th anniversary. Not kidding there either. I think that this is a great score. I think, maybe, I don't know. I can only think that there's been too many Batman scores. I don't know, all the way back to Danny Elfman.
But I mean, look.
It makes no sense to me. It's a great score.
It is a great score.
And by the way, not only is it a great score, it does what great scores do, which is elevate the movie that they're in.
Who would you have bumped out to put this one in?
That's always the question, right? It's like, who do you bump out?
I mean, that's the thing. If you look at all the other scores, I mean, I haven't heard all the scores individually, but it's great. They're great stuff. Great. There's nothing I would say. This is these are not worthy.
Yeah, because look, we got list All Quiet on the Western Front. I don't think you would have bumped that.
I think All Quiet on the Western Front's going to surprise a lot of people at the Oscars this year.
But Avatar: The Way of Water, the score is incredible. The score of the Banshees of Inisherin is remarkable. The score, I didn't love Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. I like it, but the score, was incredible. I mean, the last one won the Academy Award, for best score. So there goes anti-comic book bias. I mean, it actually won the.
No, I don't think there's an anti-comic book bias. I think there's a Batman bias.
Maybe. Glass Onion, nope. She Said, The Woman King, I mean, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. The music in that is fantastic, right? And one of the things that we have to keep in mind too, when it comes to the nominations, the Academy as a whole does not come up with the nominees.
Right, the actual individual
branches, right? So there's the music branch, there's the actors branch, the directing branch, the designer, there's all these different branches in the Academy made up of professionals in that profession and in that discipline. So you got to understand that the people who voted on putting together the nominee list are the composers and the musicians and the people who are members of the music branch of the Academy. So it's not like it's a bunch of people who didn't know what they were talking about.
I was going to bring up something else, but it might be a completely different subject. The release of the movie. Do you think that's ever affected a nomination? Like, because I still think when you guys say Batman's nominated, I'm like, didn't that come out 2 years ago? Like it was like
feels like
it felt like it was so long ago.
When you watch movies in minute intervals, time is different.
Wow.
Stay tuned for the Morbius Minute.
But I do think though that honestly, I think what's really interesting about the scores on the short list is they're very diverse in terms of the kinds of movies they're in.
Yes.
And I would say that while I do think that the Batman score is great, I mean, I'd be more interested. From a judging standpoint, it's like, okay, another Batman score.
Why you got to be judgy?
Whereas, but like, I think it's cool that Don't Worry Darling, which is a movie that had to deal with a lot of press. I think the fact that a movie like that gets a nod for score shows that the composing branch of the Academy is looking at the quality of the music.
And only the music. They're not looking at the movie as a whole.
And I think that's great. And I think that as much as I love the score for the Batman, I think that maybe there's let's look at something else.
Again, I'm just shocked.
We're talking about the main theme, right? Or is it the whole thing?
The whole score
thing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The whole sound.
That's different.
Again, I'm just shocked. Look, again, I wouldn't have fallen out of my chair shocked if it didn't get one of the final 5 nominee spots. I am shocked it didn't get in the top 15. Like that's surprising to me. But hey, I wasn't in the room. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? And if, you're one of the people who really believes it should have been on there, okay, but which one do you bump? And you're not allowed to bump a movie that you didn't see. Can't bump a movie you didn't see. Because I gotta tell you, every one of these movies, the soundtrack the score was pretty damn impressive. But I don't know. It still irks me a bit. How do you guys feel about that? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's get on to another main topic here, shall we? And we're going to stay in the vein of the Oscars and shortlists, because amongst things like Best Original Song shortlist and Best Score shortlist and Best a number of things, one of the other shortlists that got announced and released was a category that I am very interested in every year because I worked in this field, and that is the category of visual effects. The short list for visual effects has been released, and here are what do they got? 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep, 10 films on the short list. Here are the 10 films on the short list. Top Gun Maverick, 13 Lives, Nope, Jurassic World Dominion, Fantastic Beasts, The Secrets of Dumbledore, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, The Batman, All Quiet on the Western Front, and Avatar The Way of Water. These are the 10, I think it's a little bit further down, Jonathan. These are the 10 nominees for Best Visual Effects. So here's the thing. I look at these 10 and we got to now try to figure, there it is there. Got to try to figure out which ones of these 10, because only half of these are going to end up getting nominations. Only half of them are. And remember, guys, this is not which one of these is the best movies, okay? They don't care about which one's the best movie. This is just the visual effects branch. They're just looking at the visual effects, nothing else. So you may be going, I didn't like Fantastic Beasts. That's irrelevant whether you like the movie. The question is which had the best visual effects. So I'm looking at this. Here are my picks for the best visual effects. That'll end up getting the 5 spots. Think what you will about the movie. Jurassic World Dominion looked pretty effing impressive. That looked really impressive. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Fantastic Beasts and the Secrets of Dumbledore, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and Avatar The Way of Water. I think those are, which one are you looking for?
I think Nope is going to win. I love what they did.
I got different choices.
What they did with the UFOs. It's just my personal.
So those are the ones that I think, these are the ones that as I was trying the best I can to be objective, just looking at the visual effects and which ones impressed me the most. Those are the ones that I think will end up getting the nomination. And by the way, I don't think anybody's going to disagree about this. They might as well just mail the Oscar to James Cameron and his visual effects team now. There's no way Avatar is not winning Best Visual Effects. I cannot even remotely fathom that it's not winning Best Visual Effects. Anyway, which would be the 5 that you think will end up getting the nomination?
Okay, I'm going to go a little different. All Quiet on the Western Front, Top Gun Maverick, Doctor Strange, Avatar Way of Water, and The Batman. And I say that because I would lean into the reality. Thing about Top Gun Maverick is those effects are seamless. And they like they did a lot of reskinning of actual jet fighters in the movie.
It looked great.
flawless. I mean, and the thing about visual effects is sometimes, and All Quiet on the Western Front recreating World War I to the extent that they did, it is unbelievable. I mean, it's amazing. I think Doctor Strange did things we haven't seen before. Different realms. I mean, some of that stuff happened very quickly, but a lot.
You know what I think about when I think of Doctor Strange and the visual effects? I don't even think of any of that stuff. I think of trying to make an audience believe there's this ridiculous Dungeons and Dragons looking one-eyed monster in the city streets, tossing cars and crashing into buildings and looking absolutely photorealistic.
Yes.
I mean, that's the parts that I think
that's why I would give it up for that. And I think the Batman did a lot of great work making us believe in the city.
That's true. Yep.
And so the thing about Jurassic World Dominion, I just expect them to make photorealistic dinosaurs. The effects are great. They're great, but they're not groundbreakingly great. But I love them. I mean, it's the best dinosaurs you've ever seen.
Yeah, it was pretty damn good, man. Those effects were pretty. I mean, I think what I want about the movie itself, the effects were.
All I can say is I really wish that Don Shea and Joe Fordham and all of you guys that used to write and publish Cinefex magazine, I wish you'd publish a special issue on Way of Water. I know it's not going to happen.
Just come out of retirement, brush off the old printing presses.
That's
and get
right,
one out
man.
just for this
somebody give me a Cinefex, square-bound Cinefex, make it 200 pages. I'll pay $50 for it, just for one last Cinefex on Avatar: The Way of Water. Please.
Would you like that in script form?
But Ray, look, I would say this about Nope. The very few visual effects that are in the film, they look good.
Yeah.
It did look good. I don't know.
I just like the cloud hopping. That I was like, do that again when we're in the theater. Do that again. Let me see that thing. That thing looked cool to me. But yeah,
it did. It totally did look cool.
The more I think about it, you guys are right. The other ones are full of visual effects where it was just a moment in Nope where I was just like, oh, I've never seen that before.
Now there are some people who are look, I've seen some articles saying that Everything Everywhere All at Once got snubbed. I'm seeing a few people in our live chat as well mentioning Everything Everywhere All at Once. Boney Joseph is also like, what about Everything Everywhere All at Once? Everything Everywhere All at Once is, I've said for most of this year, I've said it's my number one film of the year. And its use of visual effects were very creative. But it is clear to the eye that this is a low budget film. They did some really cool things, but there is nothing in I'm sorry. And I say this as the biggest Everything Everywhere All at Once fan. There was nothing in that movie that made me think, wow, this thing should really be heavily considered for best visual effects at the Academy Awards. And again, I say that as a huge fan of it, but no, I don't see it deserving a spot on there. Look, I wouldn't have complained if it was on the list.
Sure.
I wouldn't have complained. But as we look at this list, I'm not putting it ahead of Jurassic World. I'm not putting it ahead of, Thor: Love and Thunder wasn't on this list. And I wouldn't have put it ahead of Thor: Love and Thunder as far as its visual effects go. So I love the movie, but I don't think it deserves a spot on there. All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about the 10 shortlists for the Best Visual Effects Academy Award? And which of those 10 do you think will get the 5 spots? Is it all just academic anyway? Because we all know it's going to go to Avatar. At least it really should. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to another main topic here today, shall we? And that one is this. There's a lot of upheaval and stuff going on in the world of movie theaters. Even now that the pandemic is in the rearview mirror, we are still living in that period of time that we are feeling the effects of the pandemic, especially movie theaters. We've talked a lot about the fact that because of the pandemic, it threw a lot of the scheduling and release dates and all that kind of stuff out. We have gone months at a time this year without major tentpole films coming out, something that 2023 is going to remedy. But that has left a lot of movie theaters struggling, including the second biggest movie theater chain in the world, Cineworld, the company that also owns Regal Cinemas. And they had to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. Doesn't mean they're going out of business. It's just that they had to file for bankruptcy protection so that they could reorganize their business and try to come back healthy. Well, now, according to a story in IndieWire, it looks like AMC Theaters is looking to try to take advantage of the situation and actually buy Cineworld, which would include Regal Cinemas. They wrote the following. AMC Entertainment, the largest movie exhibitor chain in the U.S. and actually the world, nearly purchased Cineworld Theaters out of Chapter 11 bankruptcy. The news was revealed on the December 21st in an 8K filing with the SEC that surprised even some inner circle AMC employees, IndieWire is told. The takeover doesn't sound like it's happening, a person with knowledge of the talks tells us, but anything remains possible. This gets interesting. Cineworld's lenders, the people Cineworld owes money to, and AMC held discussions focused on the acquisition of certain strategic theater assets of Cineworld in the United States and Europe, including Regal Cinemas, the 8K reads. The purchase would have been partially financed through the issuance of AMC's APEs and other debt financing. Of course, it would have been through APEs, but more on that a little bit later. A definitive agreement between AMC Entertainment and Cineworld's lenders has not been reached, and at this time, negotiations are not continuing, filing said. Okay. So what we know for fact is AMC tried to make a move to buy Regal. And that it doesn't look like it's happening now, but it's still on the table. This still could happen. How? In an environment where movie theaters are struggling, could one movie theater chain, like an AMC Theaters, possibly have the liquidity to be able to come out and buy a Cineworld and their Regal theaters right out? Well, there's two reasons. Reason number one is because right now, Cineworld and Regal is as cheap as it will ever be. Being in Chapter 11 finance means you can buy out the debts, and now you can have the controlling interest. And it has never been and never will be less expensive than it is right now to do it. So that's reason number one. Reason number two is because the executives at AMC have golden Lucky Charm horseshoes shoved up their asses. In that, completely unrelated to anything they did, somebody somewhere decided to make AMC stock a meme stock and artificially drive up the stock from like, I don't know, $2 to like $72 or whatever it was, making the company billions. And while they may have fell ass backwards lucky because left to their own devices, I'm going to tell you right now, AMC Theaters would be bankrupt right now. They would be out of business. I'm going to tell you that right now because they're being led by a bunch of incompetent morons over there. But they fell ass backwards in luck, got this meme stock thing going, and then give credit where it's due. They made a smart play. Seeing how far high up their stock went, that had nothing to do with them, they decided, let's sell a lot of stock. And they did. And that was the right move, and that was smart, full credit where it's due. They decided, let's sell a lot of that stock that has been artificially inflated. And they did, and they raised a tremendous amount of capital. And that's why they're still in business, and that's why they got money in the bank. And you know what? And continuing in the trend of giving credit where it's due, if you got that money and you can see an opportunity to really establish dominance in the market and to swoop up not just the name Regal, but the locations, the facilities, the infrastructure. It is, and I can't believe I'm saying this about any company that buffoon Adam Aaron runs. Tell us how you really feel, John. But it's the right move. It's the, oh my God, it's the smart move. But it is. I'll give credit where it's due. It's the smart move. You got that liquidity, you got that money, put it to work, dominate that. So if the industry does do what you think it's going to do and what the industry itself thinks is going to happen, which you're going to see a pretty significant resurgence in 2023 with all the big tentpoles coming back out, the movie, the product is being poured back out into the movie theaters again. I mean, just look at the release schedule in June and July. It's like dizzying. But why not, if you're in a position at the cheapest point it's ever going to be at, and you've got all the money, and you can sweep in, take over those locations, it's the right move. Now, it looks like it didn't work out, but it could still. But Rob, I will be the first one to, when AMC many times does really stupid ass things, I will come on here and talk about it. But if I'm going to do that, I got to give kudos where it's due. It may not have worked out, and maybe it will. But them trying to take advantage of the situation that they fell ass backwards lucky into and leverage that to do something really smart is what they try to do. And you know what? I got to give them props for it because that was the right move, and maybe it'll still work out, maybe it won't. Anyway, Rob, you hear about this story. What's your takeaway from it?
I think you're exactly right. I mean, you take this opportunity. This is how business is done. You know, whether they had inflated meme stock or not, they put some money away. They had some money to use, and when an opportunity arises, you buy low and sell high. You know, or buy low, invest low, and then hopefully you get a return. Look, the only way that movie theaters are going to survive anyway is to continue providing a great time for people at the films, at the picture shows, wherever. And the thing to do there is to make sure that the presentation is great. And AMC partnering up with Dolby for their Dolby Cinemas was a great thing. You know, and I remember the first time I was there, it was with you, seeing Joker. And I'm like, this is the kind of presentation that I expect when I go to the movie theaters.
Yep, the AMC Primes, Dolby Primes are still my favorite. That was done under the previous CEO who was a genius. That was Jerry when he was CEO there. Yeah.
But look, the only places that I've gone that have been reliable are AMC, Dolby Cinemas, and IMAX theaters. I don't think I've ever been let down with the presentation in those places. And that's all I want. All I want when I go to the movies is great presentation. And I think, look, that always is the case. The reason 3D failed in this country is because the presentation was terrible. That most of the time the bulbs are too low. It didn't really work. Nobody understood.
Not because it's a useless gimmick that adds nothing to a movie?
No, I disagree. I think that 3D properly presented, look, it is a gimmick. It is. It always was a gimmick, even back in the 50s. But if you have great presentation, and that's why seeing Avatar Way of the Water, because they've spent some time making sure that presentation was good. That's what I want. And I think AMC was doing a great job. But like you said, if they don't think they have to spend money on bulbs, you know, they dim their bulbs. I'm like, they're never going to succeed. And right now, more than ever, movie theaters have to provide a great experience for the people that go.
Yeah, which means taking out 35 minutes of ads before movie starts as well.
Yeah, and I will say this. I was at the Regal IMAX to see Way of Water, and they had 30 minutes of commercials in an IMAX theater.
Unforgivable.
That was not fun.
Did you see their ad? Their opening ad with Machete? Danny Trejo? He's in their opening.
Yes.
They have like a Nicole Kidman thing too.
Yes.
Or is it like for the 4DX? I don't know, but I remember that's a terrible ad.
Well, look,
bad.
You cannot play commercials over your IMAX sound system. I was ready to put a bullet in my face. It was so loud and shrill. I mean, it was like, why are you doing this to your patrons?
Why are you
down
making
the
your
sound.
paying patrons sit through 30 minutes of ads in the first place? It's you know what? Somebody brought this up in the live chat, and it's a good idea. You know, in this room, we have a stock expert, at least a stock expert compared to this room. The guy who really knows stocks in the market and stuff like that. That's
Taylor.
Jonathan Boyko. That's Taylor. Buy every share of Puss in Boots. Every share of Puss in Boots now. But Jonathan, you know, you're looking at this story about, you know, this has been a fascinating thing to follow for a while. Like, what's your assessment of it?
I mean, times are tough, and I think what happened was they were going to expand with the Cineworld thing, and I think investors came back and said, you know, you got debts to pay, not theaters to buy up. And I think they're looking more. So like they released this preferred stock. It's called APE. APE is the ticker, and the whole idea was to sell it off and bring in more money. So they did. They brought in like $100-something million. Instead of using that to buy more theaters, they're using it to pay off interest on their loans, on their debt. And I think they had to kind of back away from, hey, we're going to spend this on more theaters that we don't know if those are going to pay off or not. So they're just being more conservative is my thoughts on it.
All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I mean, I'm personally glad it did, even though I think it was the right move for AMC to try to do. I'm glad it didn't go through because I like having different options and two major theater chains. But anyway, how do you guys feel about this? What's your takeaway? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to our next main topic here, shall we? And that is this. I don't know if you knew this. I am a massive Supernatural fan.
No.
I don't know if I keep it secret a lot. I don't tell a lot of people, but yes, I am
You've never ever said anything like that on the show before.
Never brought it up. And so that's one of the reasons I got really excited when I see Jensen Ackles popping up. And when I saw that he was going to be in The Boys playing Soldier Boy, I got excited.
He was great.
My God, he didn't disappoint. He was so good as Soldier Boy in that. Well, now there's a story coming out that Soldier Boy wasn't the only thing that he wanted to do or wanted to play. Because according to not just a report, but he himself, he really wanted the role of Joel in Last of Us. As a matter of fact, he was at a convention, and we won't play the video, but it's part of it. And he says that he actually pushed really hard. That he said specifically, I really wanted Pedro Pascal's role. I wanted that role. I pushed really hard for it, and all that kind of stuff. And I will say this. I think while Jensen Ackles is no longer, the young Winchester boy from the early seasons of Supernatural, I don't know that he's quite old enough to play Joel. And quite honestly, Taylor, maybe you can look this up. I don't know the age comparison between him and Pedro Pascal. Maybe they're the same age for all I know. If you can look up that up for you, maybe they're the same age. But as much as I love Jensen Ackles, and if, last year they announced they were doing The Last of Us and Jensen Ackles was playing Joel, I would have been very excited. For sure, absolutely. If you had told me the two options are Jensen Ackles, who I love, or Pedro Pascal, I'm probably leaning Pedro Pascal because you know me, best actor wins. I mean, obviously there's some exceptions about fit and whatever, but in the grand scheme of things, I probably lean toward him, although I wouldn't excited. Do we got those age differences?
Yeah, so Jensen Ackles is 44 years old and Pedro Pascal is 47.
So it's not that much. It's only 3 years difference.
Look,
but Pedro Pascal plays a little bit older, I think.
Yeah, but after seeing him play Soldier Boy, Jensen Ackles was so good.
He was so good.
I mean, and I thought that performance showed a real maturity and understanding of that character. Like his performance, that could have gone either way. Another actor might not have brought. He had real gravitas. I mean, it's funny to say about a show like The Boys.
Gravitas in the context of a show like The Boys.
Yes, that's what I mean. But gravitas within that milieu, and I thought he nailed it. I was like, every time he was on screen, I'm like, this guy. This is so far. I mean, he did good. I didn't watch Supernatural like you did. I saw episodes of Supernatural. He was good in that. But I thought that was the case in The Boys of an actor and his performance perfectly cast for that character. And I think he could bring it. He could have brought it as Joel.
I agree.
This is having not seen, but just the trailer. But I think he could have done it.
Oh, listen, no doubt for me that he could have done it.
Yeah.
But let me put the same question to you that I posed to myself. All right, so David Zaslav gives you a call and says, listen, we're doing this Last of Us show. And, Robbie, we got this.
He does call me Robbie.
Yes, because Bob Iger referred you to him. By
Yes,
the way.
it's true, because I don't have lunch with Bob anymore.
So my racquetball partner, Robert Meyer Burnett, he can help you out, David Zaslav. So he gives you a call and says, look, we're doing this Last of Us show. We're very excited about it. It's going to be fantastic. But one decision we can't seem to make around here. We've got it down to two actors. Supernatural and The Boys is Jensen Ackles or Pedro Pascal. Which one do you think we should go with? I agree, both of them would be fantastic. But which one do you recommend they go with?
I would have to say I've seen more of Pedro Pascal's roles, and I would go with him. I mean, I would go with him. Only because, people always say it's not as good as the first, but I love Pedro Pascal as the villain in Equalizer 2.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah, I mean, the movie's maybe not as good. I don't know. I'm obsessed with these movies, these Equalizer movies. But he's great, and whether he's in a movie with Nicolas Cage, whether he.
By the way, he was one of the best. Nick Cage is the best part of Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
Yeah.
But Pedro Pascal is the next best.
Because Pedro Pascal can bring in the comedy. He can bring in. I mean, I thought he was miscast as Maxwell Lord in Wonder Woman 2, but he did the best he could with that role.
Yeah.
He's a great actor, but I probably, he is a little older, a little bit more seasoned. I think he's going to be a great Joel.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? My beloved Jensen Ackles actually really pushed hard wanting that Last of Us role, and I think he would have killed it. I think he would have been great. But I kind of think Pedro Pascal fits a little bit, but I don't know. What would you guys have done if David Zaslav had given you the choice between those two actors? Which one would you have gone with? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's get into our final main topic here today, shall we? And this one is huge. Rob, a while ago, maybe a year ago, I can't remember exactly how long ago this first came up, but we found out about this story that a couple of movie fans decided to rent the movie Yesterday. A really delightful little film about a musician who, what happened? He get hit by a bus, hit by lightning, I can't remember. But he wakes up and the world is exactly the same, except the Beatles never existed. And he's the only one who remembers the Beatles. Now, in the trailers for Yesterday is a shot of Ana de Armas. A couple of shots, actually, of Ana de Armas. Big movie star now. She's, of course, coming up in the John Wick spin-off movie Ballerina. She was just in the last James Bond film. She stars in Blonde this year. I mean, very, very hot actress right now. Her career is really hot right now. And these guys thought, well, we're big Ana de Armas fans, so we're going to get this movie. Only to find out as they watch the movie that Ana de Armas isn't in it. She's not in the movie. And so they filed a lawsuit. Now, we talked about this about a year ago.
Yep.
Well, now what happened is these court cases can take a while. The studio representing the movie filed a motion to dismiss. Basically, they filed a motion to say, look, this case should just be thrown out. Trailers are art. It's interpretive art and all this kind of stuff, right? Well, the judge has now ruled on that motion. And it did not go the studio's way.
Nope.
And this, if you don't realize how big this is, buckle up because this is big. The judge ruled that, yeah, you're damn right, that consumers can sue a studio for misleading trailers. They can sue for it. Now, this comes to us, you forgive me if I read this a little bit at length, but this is like really key stuff. As somebody who made a documentary about movie trailers, and an entire chapter on my documentary about movie trailers is about misleading trailers. This is fascinating. This comes to us from Variety, who wrote the following. Movie studios can be sued under false advertising laws if they release deceptive movie trailers, a federal judge ruled on Tuesday. The U.S. District Judge Stephen Wilson issued a ruling in the case involving Yesterday, the 2019 film about the world without the Beatles. Two Ana de Armas fans filed lawsuit in January, so it was about a year ago, alleging that they had rented the movie after seeing Ana de Armas in the trailer, only to discover that she was cut out of the film. Universal sought to throw out the lawsuit, arguing that movie trailers are entitled to broad protection under the First Amendment. The studio's lawyers argued that trailers are an artistic, expressive work that tells a 3-minute story conveying the theme of the movie and should thus be considered non-commercial speech. Now, couple things to keep in mind here. We might be saying that, hey, a lot of trailers come out that have footage in it that maybe was intended to be in the movie, but later that got cut out. That happens, right? Well, one of the things that these guys as lawyers argued, and it's something that I brought up back in January, was, well, yeah, that explains that, but they continue to have that in the trailer today. Maybe today they changed it, but back when the lawsuit was filed, it's like, she's still in the trailer today. Now that it's out of the theaters, on Amazon, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, but Judge Wilson rejected that argument, finding that a trailer is commercial speech and is subject to the California false advertising law under the state's unfair competition law. This is where it gets kind of spicy. Universal is correct. This is the judge speaking. Universal is correct that trailers involve some creative and editorial discretion, but this creativity does not outweigh the commercial nature of a trailer, Wilson wrote. At its core, a trailer is an advertisement designed to sell a movie by providing consumers with a preview of that product or movie. In their briefing on the issue, Universal lawyers argued that movie trailers have long included clips that do not appear in the finished film. They cited Jurassic Park, another Universal film, which had a trailer comprised entirely of footage that it was not in the movie. Okay, so here's the thing. I agree that there is an art to making trailers. Trailers are in and of themselves a piece of art. I don't deny that or dispute that. But they are also, you cannot deny, I often refer to trailers as commercials. They're commercials. Just like a commercial for Dumb Pig, just like a commercial for Aviation Gin, just like a commercial for anything. You have a product that you want consumers to buy, and so you market to them. That's called a commercial. It's a unique kind of commercial for sure, but it's a commercial. Now, some people have brought up the specter of, well, what does this mean? Does this mean that any time that, wait a minute, this trailer made it look like the movie was funny and it's not funny, I get to sue you? That's artistic interpretation. The difference between this situation with yesterday is that there's a straight up non-interpretive objective fact being presented. Ana de Armas is in this movie. Not, did this movie look more like an action film? That's interpretive art. Not, did this movie look like it was funny, but I don't consider it funny? That's interpretive. What the judge is basically ruling here is that, guys, you have a piece of marketing in your advertisements to consumers, an objective fact. The movie star Ana de Armas is in this movie. Now, then again, it could come up a question about how much of the movie is she in? Does she play a predominant role? That becomes interpretive. But it's not interpretive to say, their commercial said Ana de Armas is in this movie, and she's not. And we paid money to rent this movie and set aside a couple of hours to sit down and watch this movie because we're Ana de Armas fans, and we thought she was in this movie, and she's not. So what I don't think the judge has ruled here, Rob, and it would be great to have Brooke here because Brooke is a working lawyer right now, but what I don't think the judge is saying here is that, hey, if a movie didn't turn out to be kind of what it looked like it was going to be, then you can sue the studio for that. Because again, that's interpretive. But he is saying when you cross a line, when you literally put, like if I'm going to go watch a movie called, I don't know, Dumb Pig, right? And in the Dumb Pig trailer, I put some footage of Tom Cruise, doing his Tom Cruise smile, right? Well, Tom Cruise isn't in my movie. That's not interpretive. That is an objective fact I am stating that Tom Cruise is in my movie. And if he's not, then that's false advertising. And you can be sued. Back in January, I said, I believe this case has merit. Because as a commercial, you have straight up told the consumer that if you pay us your money, we're going to give you this, and you don't. And again, this is different from, well, there was a scene in the movie that got removed, or it looked like it was going to be an action thing, or it looked like it was going to be. This is all interpretive. They said that Ana de Armas was in it, and she's not. Rob, I am not surprised at all that the judge ruled this way. And you know what? I think they're going to win. And when they win, it's going to make studios and trailer houses have to relook. Again, you can still be artistic. You can still do all that kind of stuff, but you can't straight up lie to the audience about something. Anyway, Rob, you look at this. How do you interpret it?
Okay, here's the thing. There have been trailers that have been made for movies that have, like they said with Jurassic Park, like in your own documentary, Alfred Hitchcock, his trailers for The Birds, his trailers for Psycho. In the trailer for the very famous trailer for Psycho, he gives you a tour of the Bates Motel and the surrounding areas.
Isn't that like a 7-minute trailer?
Yeah. And he's like, the bathroom,
yeah.
It's clear when you watch that trailer, this isn't part of the movie. The first movie I ever worked on, Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, has a teaser trailer that is a riff on Excalibur, where you see instead of the Lady of the Lake holding up Excalibur, she holds up a giant chainsaw. And then Leatherface grabs it. None of that is in the movie. I don't think anybody that's ever watching these teaser trailers necessarily, and they're called teasers, expects that footage to be in the movie. And here's the thing. I'm sure at one point in the edit of yesterday, when that trailer was made, the Ana de Armas scene was in the movie. And as we read about, I think it was Danny Boyle who directed it. They removed that sequence because they realized late in the creative process that takes away from the main character's relationship with Lily James, and they wanted to change that. Movies are an iterative process, and trailers now are made 6 months before the films come out.
Yeah, before the final cut is done.
Movies are still in process of being made. I think ultimately what they're going to have to do is there's probably going to wind up being a disclaimer at the end of the trailer that says all scenes contained in this advertisement, this commercial, whatever, may not appear in the final film. That's all they have to do. And that's new language we haven't seen on trailers, because how often trailers are designed, especially, and people brought up the Marvel movies. Frequently, they will literally change shots, like in Spider-Man No Way Home, so you can't see that it's Spider-Man kicking the lizard. They'll take the Spider-Man out.
Yeah.
So they don't want people to know. So I think the lawyers that were arguing on the studio's behalf did a kind of a shitty job, because what they were trying to do is they should have immediately said, you're right, it's commercial speech. That's what it is. Like you said, it's a commercial. You can't sit there and call it anything but that. It is a commercial for the movie. It exists to sell the movie to the consumer. That's why anybody would have said that. However, they should have gone and said, it has never been ever stated by the studios that the trailers that we're showing you guarantee you to get everything that you see in the trailer. There is a long history, probably decades long, where you could show examples of trailers and things where there were scenes. I can name a dozen right now that have scenes that were not in the final film. There's a much longer precedent-setting history of trailers to exist that don't always deliver scenes. That there's scenes in trailers that were not in the final movie.
Rogue One is a great example of that.
Rogue One, the TIE fighter shot.
Several shots.
I mean, there are shots in movies all the way back 50, 100 years. And they should have argued from that perspective, that anybody that thinks that was a mistake on that person's behalf. And also, they released the Ana de Armas scene on the home video. You can see it as a special feature. The lawyers were trying to play semantics games and lost. And by the way, they should have. That was a dumb argument to make, to try and be like, this isn't commercial speech. Yeah, it is. It's commercial speech. And you tried to make it about something not that. Why didn't you just delve into the history of trailers and build your defense that way? That was a dumb move, and they deserve to lose. And like you said, those people will probably win, and deservedly so.
This is an interesting paragraph in this coming from the court, because this goes to something you were just saying a second ago about what would a reasonable audience member think watching it, right? They wrote this: the court's holding is limited to representations as to whether an actress or scene in the movie and nothing else. The judge wrote, holding that based on the yesterday trailer, it was reasonable that viewers would expect that Ana de Armas would have a significant role in the film. Because, I mean, all the pictures that Jonathan's bringing up, see, like, because if I saw Ana de Armas in something, I'm interested in watching it.
Oh, yes.
And to say straight up, so like something like the Hulk in the Infinity War thing running with the Avengers. Well, Hulk is in the movie. They are in Wakanda. Captain America is in the movie. Like maybe that particular sequence doesn't happen, but it's not like Marvel put out the trailer for Infinity War and running beside Hulk and Captain America and Black Widow, Superman flies in as well.
Yes.
That would be the thing, right? If they showed Superman flying beside them and then you go to the theater and say, there is no Superman in this movie, the judge is saying under that circumstance, you are cheating the audience. You are duping them.
Yeah.
And it's going to be interesting to see. Now, again, if they are very, very clear on how they rule this, again, I don't think we're going to see how trailers are made change all that much, because Rob, I'll be honest with you, I'm having a really difficult time off the top of my head thinking of another scenario that is likened under this Ana de Armas one. Like, I mean, maybe Anthony Hopkins isn't in Mission Impossible 2 very much, but he is there, right?
Right.
So I'm trying to think of I don't know if any of you guys or any of you guys in the live chat can think of another one like this.
I'd have to do some research, but I bet there's examples of trailers where actors are in what about All the Money in the World?
But they changed the trailers for that.
Well, they
right?
did. Yes, they did.
The trailers changed. They didn't change the trailers for yesterday. Right? So they changed the trailers to the ones with the great Canadian kid, Christopher Plummer.
Right.
Instead of Kevin Spacey. So, but that would have been a perfect example.
Yeah, but the thing is, they already had trailers out for Kevin Spacey. It's not like, and you might have changed the trailers to put Christopher Plummer in there, but there's still trailers that existed with Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, but they did their due diligence.
Yeah,
by
they did change it, but
it's
still. I mean,
and again, I still see people not show. Well, what about Hulk and Infinity? Hulk is in Infinity War.
Yeah, Hulk isn't yet right.
He's in Infinity War.
See, I think you make the important distinction. The fact is, Ana de Armas is not in yesterday.
Yeah,
she's not in the movie,
and the trailer tells you she is.
Right, exactly, and that's where they ran into trouble.
This could get really interesting. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? A court has ruled that says, hey, studios, you can't just F the consumers. You can't tell them Superman is going to be Infinity War and he's not there. You can't tell them Ana de Armas is in this movie and she's not there. Do you think that could have a profound impact on how they do trailers? Could this become a slippery slope where maybe the next lawsuit is a little bit looser? I mean, I don't know. Whatever you guys think about this, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with all that down, we are now going to open up our super chats and throw it open to you to take your live comments, theories, questions, observations, whatever you have about any or all of the topics we discussed here today or anything else for that matter. Now, we only leave the super chats open for just a couple of minutes, so make sure you get them in quickly. Now, before we get to those, we want to take another second here and thank a couple more of the sponsors of today's show, the good folks at DraftKings and our main sponsors, the wonderful folks at Ryan Reynolds' Mint Mobile. Hey guys, we want to take a second and thank one of the sponsors of this video, DraftKings. This time of year, everyone's excited for the holiday spirit, but what about all the basketball? When it's time to throw down on the NBA action, it's gotta be with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. New customers can bet just $5 pregame moneyline on any NBA team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. Plus, everyone can combine multiple bets for a bigger payout with DraftKings same game parlays. Just download the DraftKings app, use the code Campea, place a $5 pregame moneyline bet on any NBA team to win, and get $150 in free bets if they do. That's code Campea only at DraftKings Sportsbook. 21 plus in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gaming resources. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Bonuses issued as free bets. Eligibility and terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball terms. Guys, we want to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. This holiday season, the best deal in wireless can only be found at Mint Mobile. Right now, when you switch to Mint Mobile and buy any 3-month plan, you get another 3 months for free. Mint Mobile lets you order and activate from home with eSIM while saving tons on phone plans starting at just $15 a month. You guys know I've been using Mint Mobile long before this holiday deal, and I have to say it is the perfect time to switch. I have absolutely loved using Mint Mobile, and like I've told you guys many times, I am now spending less than 1/3 of what I used to spend under one of the other major mobile carriers. And now with the whole buy 3 months, get 3 months free deal, it's even better. All of their plans come with unlimited talk and text, plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and switch easily and effortlessly with eSIM. Or if you need a new device, for a limited time, get 6 months of free service when you buy a select device and plan. So guys, for a limited time, buy any 3-month Mint Mobile plan and get 3 more months for free by going to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Mint Mobile and DraftKings for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys, with that down, let's get over to your live questions here, shall we? Robert, what do we got up here first?
John, Predeminator sends in a super chat. And Marie Seifring sends in a super chat. And Remy Alestra sends in a super chat.
Just to be supportive. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that.
Sean Ryder sends in a super chat and says, Could they use the DC Black label that Todd Phillips talked about some years ago to help distinguish side projects from the main timeline for people?
Well, Rob, you had a really good idea the other day of creating just a separate banner simply called DC Elseworlds.
Yeah.
Now, I honestly don't think the audience is going to be all that confused by it. Like when the new Batman, the DCU comes out, I don't think people are going to confuse it with Robert Pattinson's Batman.
No.
But creating a separate label like that might be. What do you think about the idea of the black label?
I think the Black label's a little too generic. I mean, I get it, but they use the Black label for like, there's Black label Star Wars figures,
It's true, yeah.
I mean, the Black label, I think of a liquor,
Exactly.
Yeah, you think of the Black label like, ooh, that's premium, top shelf liquor.
I like DC Elseworlds.
Yeah, I mean, Elseworlds tells you what it is. Plus, I've loved the term Elseworlds. It's just a cool term.
And they trademarked that word too.
Yeah, and they've got a cool logo for it already that I could see them. I would love to see that, like I said yesterday, at the front of a movie.
All right, what's next?
Jay Master says Charlie Cox confirmed Disney Plus's Daredevil Born Again will have a historic 11 months production from February to December when it films in New York City in 2023. Because it's like 18 episodes.
It's 18 episodes. It's like a real TV show.
Yeah.
So it's going to be like a full 18 episodes, 18 hours. So, if they are, I don't know, Disney might pull one of these 27-minute things. But even if it was like a half hour each, right? That's 9 hours.
Yeah.
That's like 3 or 4, well, probably closer to 4 full feature films. So, yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds about right.
I'm excited.
They're going to put a lot of effort into it. Whether it's the same Daredevil or not, we'll find out. But they're going to put a lot of. I have very high hopes for this because even though I didn't like the She-Hulk show, I loved every moment that he was in She-Hulk. I really did. So let's see how that all works out. All right, what's next?
Motassem says Morbius trailer lied so much. Oscorp, Spider-Man.
But no, those were clearly. It's like saying, what was the trailer that just came out again? It's like the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse or Across the Spider-Verse trailer that just came out. It showed a lot of previous footage of things, but
Right.
that wasn't to say that these scenes are going to be in this movie. I don't think that's an apples to apples.
Also, those
comparison.
were buildings and like graffiti. It wasn't.
Yeah.
No one's paying for.
and
a
that
movie
shot
ticket
of graffiti was in the movie.
Yeah.
By the way, that Spider-Man thing on the wall that was
You
in
didn't
the
have
movie.
Tobey Maguire show up.
Yeah,
Or you didn't have Harry Osborn show up.
and they never said they would. Yeah,
Right.
that's the thing. All right, what's next?
Suthius says, not sure how much muscle he could pack on, but what about Timothy Chalamet as the new young Man of Steel? I can totally see it. I think he's great.
I would say this. I always say that the number one thing is, do you have a great actor? And I believe he's not there yet. He's not there yet. I'm not saying he's the greatest actor in the world right now, but I believe he's the next Daniel Day-Lewis. I've said that. He's only getting better and better, even in a not so great movie like Bones and All, which I was late to that party. It's not all that great, but oh my God, his performance is good. Anyway, the number one thing is, do you have a great actor? But it's not the only thing. I look at Timothy Chalamet's frame. I ain't body shaming the dude. The dude is 10 times better looking than me any day of the week. But I look at his body frame and I don't know that he would even be able to put on the mask that he would need to put on to be a remotely convincing Man of Steel.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Now, look, if they announced that he was going to be the next Superman, again, the better acting ability, I will take over better physique any day of the week. You can put any muscle head in there, but I don't think that's the right fit. But hey, if they cast him, I wouldn't argue about it. All right, what's next?
Corey Hensley says, looking at this short list, can we talk about how Everything Everywhere All at Once is a potential Oscar contender? Think it'll get some big nods?
Yes, it will get nominated for Best Picture of the Year. I'm going to tell you that right now. I will be shocked. I will eat a plate of Ray's ketchup and eggs if Everything Everywhere All at Once does not get nominated for Best Picture. It will. It absolutely will. I think you're going to see a Best Supporting Actor nomination. I think you're going to see a Best Supporting Actress nomination. I think you're going to see a Best Lead Actress nomination for Michelle Yeoh. I think you're going to see a lot of significant nominations for Everything Everywhere.
All right.
I mean, I'm not going to predict it's going to get 5, 6, or 7, but I'm saying you're going to see 1 or 2 really major significant nominations for it. All right, what's next?
Dumbrodor, one of two, says, since Batman is crucial to Gunn's DCU, and he doesn't seem likely to give filmmakers any DC characters they want, like previous leaderships, it seems likely...
Trying to find the second part.
Likely that Ben Affleck will direct a DCU Batman film.
I would not say it is likely.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
I don't think there's been anything that's been officially said that points us towards that it is likely. But is it possible? Oh, yeah. I mean, look, only because Ben Affleck is clearly extremely passionate about the Batman character. And he loves that script he wrote. And everybody that I know that has read that script, I have not. But everybody that I know that has read that script, a very significant person in DC has said it's the best Batman script of all time. Again, I can't confirm that because I didn't read it myself. But I say it's very possible. It could be that. I would not necessarily say likely, though.
I would agree with you. I also think too that kind of a script fits in with what James Gunn wants to do.
I agree.
It's not an origin story, but it could be an early on in Batman's career, not maybe as early on as the Batman is. And it has a great central conflict. It has the real hard thing about these movies is who's he going to fight? And the fact that Terminator is not, Deathstroke, Slade Wilson is not a traditional Batman villain, but a villain that's in the DC universe that is actually very formidable and makes a great foe for the Batman.
I agree. All right, what's next?
Vixter 5001. I hope you're feeling better today. If you liked Bodyguard, you must watch Line of Duty. I've heard this so many times. I got to watch this. Same writer, director, and one of the best BBC dramas of the last 10 years. Can't wait for the final episodes announced today. I hear this is like 6 seasons. Everyone says to watch Line of Duty.
Bodyguard's the one with Icarus, right?
Yes.
Okay.
With Richard Madden.
Which was great.
Great. That was only 6 episodes, but apparently Line of Duty is like 6 seasons.
I've never heard of it.
I the only reason I've heard of it is because people like Vixter keep telling me to watch this show.
All right. Well, thanks for putting it on the radar, man. I appreciate that very much. I'll keep my eyes open for it.
She's stuck at home.
All right. What's next?
Mikaragava? Mikaragava? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but is it just me or is the evil Superman trope a bit overdone? Over the past 7 years, we got Injustice Superman, Homelander, Omni-Man, Brightburn, and Lor-Zod. Cheers.
I remember somebody asked this identical question about a year or two ago. And here's the thing. We love stories about figures that we are supposed to be able to trust becoming the biggest threat, right? We've seen lots of movies about that, whether it's about fathers or religious leaders or politicians or family members or our superheroes. I think it's one of the reasons why The Boys itself is so like clicks with a lot of people. It's another one of those classic stories that we gravitate towards of those we're supposed to be able to trust being the ones that we should be most afraid of. And sure, yeah, with Superman, they lean into a lot. You're right. Omni-Man, Homelander, the Injustice Gods Among Us Superman story is one of the best ever to come out of, I think, the genre itself. But there's been that. Brightburn was one of those. I didn't really love Brightburn, to be honest with you, but the concept was great. Yeah, it's been done a lot, but there's a reason for that, because if you look even just beyond the superhero genre, we see that trope played out a lot in a lot of different things. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I mean, we even saw an evil Superman in Superman 3. Your favorite.
That's right.
Richard,
give me another one.
And the drunk, dirty
old
Superman.
How do you know if he's the bad Superman? Well, his costume's dirty.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the difference between good and evil.
Look, it's an easy, fun way to make a great character. That's why the mirror universe in Star Trek is popular. Let's take a character like Spock, give
put
him
a goatee on him.
Yeah, I mean, see, there's my Star Trek reference for the day.
I know, I was waiting for it.
So I think that it's cool to see that, but I do think it's kind of an overplayed trope.
All right, what's next?
Jay Master says Hall of Fame running back Pittsburgh Steelers Franco Harris has sadly died at the age of 72, who 50 years ago did the immaculate reception for the franchise.
There are, a lot of people will point towards the NBA was a league, but it became a superstar league when Magic Johnson and Larry Bird in that era, right? Some people will point to and say that is the moment that the NFL got onto the path, like Franco in that era, particularly like with the Steelers and stuff like that, and players like him. That was the era that really did begin football becoming the most dominant in North America, anyway, by far the most dominant sports league, and like it eclipses baseball and hockey and basketball and everything else. And his era was kind of that. Yeah, it was very sad to hear about his passing. I mean, he's always been a great representative of the game, and whenever he did make public appearances, he was always like eloquent and well spoken. And yeah, it was a real shame to hear about that. All right, what's next?
Darth Ciano says Pat McAfee said it. We were watching the Pat McAfee.
Yeah, we were watching
yesterday.
Pat McAfee yesterday.
Pat McAfee said it best about ESPN a while ago, stating that the moment ESPN brought politics into their sports broadcasting, they buried their own grave. Also, so happy to see our efforts for the adoptive family. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, I'm not even going to touch that. Just no. All right, what's next?
Victor Rodriguez says, did you guys see the new international posters for Across the Spider-Verse? Looks like they added Josh Keaton's Spectacular Spider-Man, the PS4 Spider-Man, and a Spider-Man with a sombrero.
I am not going to doubt at all that, because we've seen like scenes already with mobs of Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
I think any Spider-Man you can possibly imagine that has any iteration ever that has existed, you're going to be able to pick out at some point in there. Like, not necessarily speaking characters or anything like that, but I think you're going to be able to point them out and pick them out at some point along the line.
It would give me great joy if the Japanese Spider-Man with the...
Oh my God, the one that the costume spurts out of his wrists.
Yes. I know for a fact, I mean, I don't know this for a fact, but I believe that Spider-Man, and when that Spider-Man appears, even if it's briefly, it's going to put a very big smile on my face.
If you guys don't know what we're talking about, go look it up on YouTube.
Go look up Japanese Spider-Man. You won't believe it.
And then also try to find the one where a giant Spider-Man is fighting side by side with Godzilla.
Yeah.
It's not like if you can imagine it's there, that's there and it's real. All right, what's next?
God bless them. Sam Fisher says, Avatar 3 to 5 prediction. I think we'll see the Sullys go to Earth, and we will see either Na'vi in a major metropolis and or the Sullys reverse avataring.
Well, here's the thing. The producer of Avatar, we did a story on this the other day. The producer of
John
Avatar
Landau
already said that in 3 or 4, we're going to see Neytiri go to Earth. I mean, they've already said it. They've come right out and said it. So I think you're if you hadn't seen that story and you didn't hear us talk about that, well, then kudos to you because you're right on the money. So they did say they're going to be doing. I don't think they're going to be reverse avataring, but I mean, you never know.
Although that would be really interesting.
Let's not get into any spoilers of what happens in this Avatar.
Sure,
film,
but I know they don't do that in the movie. But that would be
going
interesting.
to Earth, apparently, according to the producer, is definitely something that's going to happen. All right, what's next?
Ash K. Thakur says, who do you think the villain will be in the new Superman film? The villain and conflict are the hardest parts to get right in a Superman film.
You know what? I was about to disagree until you said in a new Superman film. Because you're going to say in a comic book film, honestly not. You can take any character, any whatever, and just make sure you write them very well, and you can have anybody as a villain, and it can work. But you're right. With Superman, that's the hard part. Is how do you get a villain that is somewhat grounded and yet you feel could actually be a viable threat to Superman, depending on how you portray your Superman? And that's why, more than almost any other comic book hero, they go back usually to Superman's mainstays, whether it's Lex Luthor or whether it's General Zod. And I don't think right out of the gate they'll do either. I mean, you got to have Lex Luthor in the world. That's got to be there. But I mean, like James Gunn is a character, is a filmmaker who gave us Starro. So that means characters like Brainiac and others like that maybe become a little more popular. But honestly, I don't know. I don't think you go Brainiac out of the gate, though.
Although if anybody did, James Gunn would.
It would be a James Gunn that would do it. Yeah,
I mean,
right.
Yeah.
It's a great question, man. All right, what's next?
Oscar Layout says, hey, John, haven't really heard anyone talk about the most underrated movie of 2022, Prey. That's a Predator film. For me, it's a top 5 movie of 2022.
Oh, you've heard us talk about it. I loved that movie. I think it is. I think it is hands. This isn't a high bar, granted, but to me, it is hands down the best Predator movie outside of the original.
I don't know if it's eligible for the Oscars though, because it debuted on Hulu.
I saw it in the theater before it came out on Hulu.
But okay.
Yeah, I saw it in a Los Angeles movie theater.
But doesn't it have
I paid
to?
for it. I had to pay.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, it
Okay.
wasn't a press screening.
Oh.
I don't believe it. I think I remember it was a screening. I actually had to buy tickets.
Well,
for
then
it.
it-
Doesn't it just
probably-
have to run for 1 week in a theater?
Yeah.
Yep, in Los Angeles or New York
Yeah.
to be eligible.
Maybe it.
I mean, look, I'm going to let you, again, next week, we're going to be doing our top 10 films of 2022 lists. I will let you know Prey isn't on mine, but I did love that movie.
Yeah, it's very cool.
It was surprisingly satisfying. It was a really surprisingly satisfying film. If you have not seen Prey, take our friend's recommendation here and check it out because it's a hell of a lot of fun. I enjoyed it a lot. All right, what's next?
What's next is Clever Name. Says, why no Yellowstone after show, but 1923 has one? Wish I could hear your thoughts weekly, but could you do a one-time mid-season after show?
Nope, we don't do those. Yellowstone, we don't do one because it was way too late in the game. Like we're in season 4, it's already running. I generally like to jump on doing after shows for shows when they start. Now, an exception. There are some exceptions. We didn't think Succession, or not Succession. We didn't think
Severance.
Severance. Thank you. We didn't think Severance was going to be a big deal, but it's great. It was too late for us to start doing after shows for it once it started rolling. Because you know me, if I can't do it from episode 1, I'm not going to do it. But we're going to do one for that. But Yellowstone is just too far gone. It's too late for us to do one for Yellowstone. But 1923, we're episode 1, season 1, so we can jump on board and do that. And that's why, we're also going to do it for The Last of Us. We're going to jump on board with that right away. So, and we may consider doing one for Succession. So that would be a little bit of a different thing. But I think, yeah, I probably won't do one for Yellowstone, even though it is my favorite show on TV right now. All right, what's next?
Jai CSC says, wonderful work with the adoptive family. The video was incredibly moving. I'm not crying, you're crying. On that note, what's the last movie you cried at?
Ooh, the last. Okay. I very, very rarely in my life, like I can get moved and I can feel my bottom lip quiver and I can get, goosebumps or maybe start to feel my eyes turning red, but straight up actually starting to sob. I think it was Life is Beautiful. I think Roberto Benigni's World War II film, Life is Beautiful, that won a couple of Academy Awards. I don't know anybody that didn't cry in that movie, but I think that might have been the last one I actually straight up cried in. What about you?
I think the last time I cried in a movie theater was when I saw Amelie, but that was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
When I cried in that movie, like tears. But there was another movie. I can't remember. There was something more recently, but I don't remember what it was.
All right.
I gotta think. But Amelie, I cried in, and I was in Spain when I saw it, so
Oh.
I doubly cried.
All right. What's next?
Fifi says, "Finally, I can sue Morbius." Laugh out loud.
Again, can't be for that. I thought it looked good and it wasn't good. That
Right.
doesn't count, or else every studio would get sued all the time. All right. What's next?
Harv's K said, "I liked The Fablemans, but it wasn't quite top tier Spielberg for me. Dano was the highlight, though, and David Lynch as John Ford was a hoot."
All I can tell you is that I thought it was mind-blowingly remarkable. It's a movie to me that kind of represents why movies are magical. I watched that thing and I was completely involved in it. I was completely enraptured with it. I loved this story every beat. But hey, man, like all films are subjective. They hit us all in different ways. But Fablemans for me was a movie that hit me in that way that I was just enraptured with it. I absolutely enraptured. I love that film. All right, what's next?
I kind of teared up in Top Gun Maverick, I'm not going to lie. Science Fiction says, "I like turtles."
It should be, I like turtles.
I like turtles. Is that better?
All right, next up.
Hero75 says, ESPN's market share is only going to go down. The Big Ten, which has 3 of the top 5 most watched college football teams, will not be carried by ESPN in 2023.
Well, and again, like to that point we were mentioning, now you have a lot of these platforms that have not traditionally ever been involved in sports, they're all now starting to cut out pieces of that pie.
I mean, YouTube, that's a big deal.
That NFL Sunday ticket thing cannot be underestimated for this landscape. The fact that, again, Amazon is now in the game, Netflix is looking at getting in the game. It's becoming a more and more competitive field for dwindling share. And so I think, by the end of 2023, I agree with the report. I think you're going to see that ESPN gets spun off. All right, what's next?
CJ Rebirth says, I loved Last Wish. Florence Pugh was the scene stealer.
Are we talking about Puss in Boots? The last
Yeah,
Wish?
we are.
Oh, Florence Pugh does one of the voices?
Yeah, she's Goldilocks.
Oh, I didn't know that.
She
I
was
didn't
so
even
good.
realize that.
You know who else is in it that nobody knows is John Mulaney's in it, and he's great.
Is he Spider Pig? Did they cross the universes
he's
over?
Big Jack Horner, and he was not in any of the trailers, so I was shocked when I saw him, and I was so happy.
Well, you spoiled it for everybody
No,
else. Man.
I don't
well
think it's
done.
a spoiler, though, because lately they've been
Jack
putting
Horner.
It's
it.
on. I know he's listed
yeah.
on IMDb.
That's Burt Reynolds' character in Boogie Nights.
Oh, it's good.
Probably a different character.
I really like John Mulaney. He's a really funny comedian. Anyway, all right, what's next?
A Slim Shady says Rob's new nickname is Robbie B. Hey, everyone hangs their nicknames on me. I'll take it.
Robbie B.
Robbie B.
That's Zaslav's nickname for you.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Vanda's Cinema says, Rob, the Batman score is so good. There's currently an orchestra touring where they are screening the Batman in its entirety with the orchestra performing the score live in sync. I saw that. I mean, I didn't see the thing, but I saw that they're doing that.
Yeah, that was a thing that really started, I think, when Anthony Daniels went on tour with an orchestra where he would narrate the Star Wars story and they'd have an orchestra play.
Yeah.
But now, like the Hollywood Bowl every year, there's several of these. You and I went to a Black Panther one.
Which was awesome.
Yeah, it was incredible.
It was awesome.
Every year at the Hollywood Bowl, they do it for one of the 3 original Star Wars movies where they have the orchestra. They strip out the score out of the film. They put the film up on screen and then the orchestra plays the music with it. I love those events. And I didn't know that they're doing one for the Batman. I would go see that one. I would totally go to see that one.
They're doing it at the Kodak Theater.
Are they? I'm going to get tickets.
DC Films is actually going to be doing a series of them.
Oh, I love it.
Wow.
I'm definitely going to get tickets.
Are they
to
going
that.
to do Superman the movie?
I don't know what the slate is, but it's
I'd go
kind
to
of going
that.
forward.
Bum, 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 bum. All right. What's next?
Dildar says, happy birthday to me. I'm 26 and I already feel old.
Hey, happy birthday to you. May you have a wonderful day and a great year ahead of yourself, my friend. Happiest of birthdays to you. Thanks for joining us for a bit of your birthday, man. That makes us feel special. All right, what's next?
Assistant Professor X says,
There's
happy
also super chats in like $20. Thank you, man, very much.
Assistant Professor says, happy holidays, John and crew. So beautiful what you guys do for families in the community. I just had the Marvel Studios Christmas party, and the tree wasn't the only thing trimmed. Be prepared and excited for a leaner Phase 5.
Is that a Manscaped reference?
Maybe there's just a fewer films in Phase 5.
Giving us a plug for Manscaped, maybe?
I think so.
I mean, well, first
Does that
of all,
mean that all Marvel characters are Manscaped?
and is it a result of the John Campea show?
Could very well be.
That's the kind of influence we have around here. And as far as the family stuff goes, I mean, look, it's really important to know that it was what you guys did, not us. I mean, you guys are the ones who bought out everything that was on that Amazon list. You guys raised nearly $5,000 in a GoFundMe thing. I mean, it was what you guys did. And I'm the one who's floored every year for the last few years about how you guys respond to wanting to do something really special for a family. So thank you. All right, what's next?
Charlie Masters says, if Gunn wanted young Soup the whole time, why did Warner Brothers announce Cavill's return just 2 days before James Gunn, I guess, took over? Seems odd if older Soups wasn't in Gunn's plans.
2 things. Warner Brothers never announced a new Superman project. That's just the facts.
Yep.
They never announced a new Superman project. Number 2, a lot of the things that we hear come out and the things that we see happening on screen. You know, we've talked about this before. This is fact. You can go look this up. When they announced Ben Affleck was playing Batman, it was later revealed that the agreement and the decision was made for him to be Batman 6 months before they made the news public. Oftentimes, by the time we hear about something in the entertainment industry, the decision for that something actually happened long before it.
Yeah.
So the decision of Henry Cavill coming back to be in Black Adam and all that kind of stuff, and to build up to that, yeah, we heard about it at the right time for the build up to the marketing of the movie. But the decision for that was actually long before James Gunn ever took over for DC. And I guarantee you, one of the conditions of James Gunn and Peter Safran taking over DC is we get to make the decisions about what happens at DC. And by the way, that is how David Zaslav runs his companies. He's done it ever since Discovery. He lets the heads of the individual studios make those decisions, and they have to answer to him. So it was the decision to have Henry come back and be Superman in Black Adam was long before James Gunn took over. But once James Gunn took over, all bets are off. Now you have somebody coming in charge, and it was going to be running things and all that kind of stuff. I mean, listen, I remember when Collider wanted me, when I was leaving AMC, and Collider kind of courted me to come over and take over things at Collider. One of the things that I made very clear is whatever you've told anybody else, whatever staff you have on the video side, whatever plans you have for video, that's gone. Because if I'm going to come over there, I'm deciding what happens there. And when they decided to try to interfere with that, that's when I told them, well, I'm leaving. Because, I mean, that's the thing. And I think it happens too, like even in professional sports. When a new coach comes in, it doesn't matter if you just signed a 4-year contract with an assistant coach. It doesn't matter. When the new coach comes in, they get to decide who their coaching staff is. It doesn't matter. And so anybody who is involved with any DC project at all had to understand with a new CEO coming, all bets are off. They're going to put together what they feel they need to put together to run that. So, hey, listen, I say this is the world's biggest Henry Cavill fan, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Charlie Masters says, Remy Alastra sent in a super chat. Actually sent in 2 super chats.
Oh, thank you, man.
Sean the Comic Construct.
I love that name.
That's cool. Sends in a super chat.
And is that it?
That's it.
And guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much, guys, for being here and making this show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in those super chats. Number 1, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number 2, you supported this channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Don't forget to come back and join us again tomorrow for the final regular John Campea Show of 2022. Of course, we are going to do some videos next week, but the final regular John Campea Show of 2022 is tomorrow. We hope you guys will come back and join us for that. Also, just to let you guys know, a little bit later today, we're going to be doing an open mic, and I'm not going to say how. It's kind of a nothing big. It's kind of a little special bit of an open mic. I know if I don't tell you guys something, nothing big, people are going to say, Ryan Reynolds is going to be it. No. He's just a little bit. It's going to be kind of a little bit of a special open mic. We hope you guys will come back and join us for that. All right, guys, for everybody in the room here, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett, Ray Ora, Jonathan Voico running the show over there, our fact checker here, Taylor Gonzalez. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.